Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Before we begin today's story, I have a couple of things to say first. One correction to start off with. If you've seen last week's video, where I've been talking about citadel hits and armor and penetration in general, I've put out a lot of theories that were based on, well, what I experienced during the game, what you see from the PC version, where you get more insights, and thankfully somebody in the comment pointed out that the idea of armor angling doesn't apply to World of Warships Blitz, and apparently in a rare display of insight, Wargaming has confirmed that in a chat somewhere, that in order to make the gameplay more fluent and quicker, they didn't apply armor angling as a term of increased armor, so all you get is a reduced surface, which is good to know, really. And it's always good when they start pointing these things out. Like I've mentioned, the wiki that they started inside in the game, I think in the last patch or in the one before that, which pointed out the damage numbers, is really helpful, and it helps us understanding the game better. And I really hope they continue doing this and get more stats out, so just people have a better understanding for how these things work. So anyway, it's still not a good idea to a broadside, especially to battleships, because it gives them a large flat surface to shoot at. Even though the flat doesn't matter so much, it gives them a better chance to hit you, so try to angle. Still valid point, just it doesn't apparently really increase the amount of armor, effective armor that you have. So that's one thing. The other thing I wanted to say, because we've passed 100 subscribers, and I mean, compared to other YouTube channels, that isn't that much, but for me, that's a big number, and I'm really thankful, and I wanted to point that out. I'm really thankful for the civilized and polite discussions we have in the comment section. I mean, YouTube is infamous for comment sections. And we have long threads in comments on videos that don't even have that many views, just a couple hundred or so. And I really enjoy this. And I think I just wanted to point that out, that I feel that it's really great to have this community growing this way, and not just trash talking in the comments. So thanks to everybody for keeping it that way. But now, without further ado, let's get on to the thing. Requested many times. This is the Mogami, the Japanese Tier 8. Well, technically it's a light cruiser, because if we start taking a look, she's a premium. She's one of the highest tier premiums. What does she have? We've got 30,000 hit points, which is normal for a cruiser that tier. We don't have a huge amount of armor, but we also don't have a really terrible armor. For a light cruiser, she actually has the same survivability stats as the Takao, the Tech Tree cruiser at tier 8. She is fast, uses a very long and a very slim ship, so she goes pretty quickly, 35 knots almost, with the consumables. And I've got the turn time down to just under 6 seconds. We'll get to that in a minute. The guns. The guns are special, because the Japanese cruisers start with heavy cruisers, so 200mm guns at tier 5 with the Furutaka. And this thing is a light cruiser. So the real Mogami initially was built as a light cruiser as well, and later retrofitted as a heavy cruiser. But she has 5 triple turrets of 155mm guns. Now, Japanese guns are not the fastest to fire, and their turrets are very, very slow in turning indeed. But for these 155mm guns do a decent amount of damage, especially the high explosive. You don't usually want to shoot armor piercing with Japanese ships, but the high explosive does a very reasonable 540 points damage, and has got a 5% chance of setting fire on things. And you have 15 of them. So that's pretty good. There's a lot of guns on this thing. She has a terrible turret traverse speed, and I've got a lot of upgrade slots. I've got a lot of upgrades to make that a little bit better. So one of the things that you get with the Japanese cruisers is a almost battleship-like turret traverse speed. I think the base turret traverse in the Takao is somewhere at 7.5% or something. Sorry, 7.5 degrees per second. So it's relatively terrifying how slow these turn. She does get, as is custom for Japanese cruisers, she does get torpedoes, 610mm torpedoes at tier 8, 4 triple launchers, so 2 on each side, and the reload time is very reasonable with 53 seconds, and the range with 8 kilometers is pretty good as well. So these are really dangerous torpedoes. We'll see later on what other weaknesses she has. In terms of torpedoes, the anti-aircraft armament is average. There's nothing special about this. Again, Japanese ships not necessarily known for their anti-aircraft power. And the surface detection is pretty good. I'm not even running the concealment module, but I've got it down to just under 8 kilometers. So in theory, you could stealth top with this thing if you wanted to. Now, given that she came from a pack, she does have the camouflage. And let's quickly have a look at the armory and see what I've done for Elite. I decided to go with the cruiser modernization because while the torpedo reload of 3% would have been neat, I think 53 seconds is pretty good already, and I'm not planning to. I mean, with 15 main guns, you're not planning to play as a like destroyer stealth sort of setup. So I went with the general modernization, which gives it a bit more hit points, which is good, which gives us main battery traverse speed, which is what I was really after, and a little bit more anti-air, which, you know, you have it, it's there. This is not an anti-air ship, so be careful with that. Camouflage is the historical camo, again, came from a pack, so increases the main battery firing range, it increases the torpedo range, it increases the traverse speed, which is very important because, like I said, she's very long, she's very thin, and she's relatively fast. Long, thin, fast things in water tend not to turn very well, and she indeed turned extremely sluggishly when I initially had her in. And while she's relatively well armored, she's still a cruiser, so battleships will just go om nom nom and blow big holes in her. The equipment, I've got the main battery mod 1. I was really tempted to go with one of the reload mods or with the precision mod here, but again, I need that turret traverse. If you're trying to kite a battleship, so kiting would be if you're sailing away from the battleship and you're turning in to fire your guns, you're turning out again to give minimal profile to get shot at, and you're timing that with the battleship's reload, you really want your turret traverse to work. So that's kind of why I've done this. Plus, if you're in a pinch and you need to maneuver very quickly, or you get cornered by destroyers, it's good to have all the guns on target. The other 2 slots, I've gone with the steering gear modification. It would have been nice in slot 3 to have the concealment system modification. That would have been good. But I did that. I tried it actually, and I really went back to the steering gear mod because I needed that extra 15% traverse acceleration. So she's already sluggish as she is. I like my cruisers to be maneuverable. Others might have completely different setups, but this is how I ended up doing it. In terms of supplies, it's just kind of a standard loadout. I have the crew rations for reload. I actually have the refined diesel for ship speed and traverse speed, and the high-grade coal, which I don't usually use in cruisers, but given that this is a relatively stealthy Japanese cruiser, I figured instead of giving a couple more hit points, I'm going to go with the surface detection. So that brings us to the commander. And nothing unexpected here, really. It's standard setup in 1 and 2. I've got the artillery maintenance. I've got the victorious charge for HP recovery. I've got the survivor list for HP recovery. And I've got exploit weakness on this, actually. I could have done a generalist for a bit more HP recovery. But given that she has a very large number of guns, and you want to fire high explosive with these things and set stuff on fire. Plus, she has torpedoes, which have a very high chance of setting floodings as well. I figured, let's give this a try and see if we can. If we're most likely to set things on fire, and we already got things on fire, and we've got 15 guns firing, the 1% damage uptick might add up over time. Actually, I did not mention that. I think the reload time. She has a base reload time of 9 seconds, which is quite long for 150mm guns, but again, we're talking about Japanese ships here. The Takao, I think, has an 11-second base reload for the 200mm heavy cruiser guns. this is not a ship that has an autoloader or anything like that and gets numbers like the higher tier US Navy cruisers, which start having ridiculous reload times. In return, she just gets more guns. So how do you want to play this ship? I have had amazing battles in this ship. So I mean, for my playstyle, I'm a cruiser main. So for me, she's really a good ship. And I haven't played the Takao, or any of the higher tier Japanese cruisers, but I really enjoy the Mogami. She is stealthy enough and fast enough to get yourself into flanking positions. And that's kind of my standard play with her. I try to not be focus fired easily, but be somewhere where I'm considered a minor threat, and try to get into flanks of ships that are focusing on other targets that are more tanky than me, and then just use the torpedoes, use the guns to deal the damage. And if I get into a knife fight with destroyers or other ships, I can relatively quickly get out of things again with the speed, and I have the maneuverability to dodge and, do all these kind of things. So, let's give her a try, and you'll see how she plays. Okay, what have we got? We've got a Ranger on the enemy team, a Tirpitz, another Mogami, and a Chapayev. So, 2 HE spammers, and a dangerous battleship, and a carrier. So no hiding. Well, let's see how that turns out. No destroyers at all in this game. And we're playing on Bay of Storms. So that's an interesting question in terms of positioning. We can either go wide, or we can go close to the central island and see if we can do something interesting there. Not quite sure which way I'm going to go. Given that there's a carrier, let's see what the other ships are doing. Okay, that New Orleans, this is our Tirpitz. Okay, we're going to go with our Tirpitz. If the Tirpitz is going wide, I'm going to go narrow. This way, either of us can get flanking shots in. Here's the thing that I mentioned earlier. She has terrible torpedo arcs. Look at this. They actually improved the rear arc a little bit, but you have to give broadside in order to torpedo things. Okay, now we can slow down and say hello to this New Orleans over there. And that's our first fire. Anything else coming this way? There's the enemy Mogami. Okay. So we want to see if our Tirpitz can do something about her. And if we can get the torps away against the New Orleans. Let's expect that the enemy Mogami has fire torpedoes. So we're going to get a little bit in the rear. That's just one torpedo. Damn, is that guy still not dead? Yeah, bots are good at... Come, I'm going to stop shooting at the bot, people. Okay. Okay, let's see. Oh, there's the other Mogami's torps. Let's slow down so we're not running into these. So this is why I need the turret traverse. Okay, we don't want to get too wide, because... Let's see if we can still get some flanking shots into the other side. But I think the other side's team has got this. There's an Amagi over there. Mogami's running, so let's push this way. The Tirpitz can kill her. That should not be a problem. Let's see if we can sink that Amagi in the meantime. Oh, she's turning in, actually. Yeah, you can see it on the minimap. She should be dead. Okay, there's the enemy Tirpitz. So we gotta watch out that we're not getting hit in the face by this thing. She is reversing. Who's she targeting? Me? Probably. And there's also Chapayev. So we don't want to get much closer than this. Yes, she's targeting me. Okay. Reverse. Oh, come on. You haven't killed... There's 2 of you over there. You haven't killed the Mogami yet. What are you people doing? Okay, I can't get a... Yeah, thank you. Can you please sink that stupid ship? There's an Edinburgh and the Tirpitz. Okay, I'm gonna have to back out here, and I'm gonna back off behind that island here, and get out of the range of that enemy Mogami. And I should be able to lob this. Can I lob these? Yes. And I can keep lobbing shots at the turrets from here. I'm still in range of that Mogami. Okay, forward again. Okay, turrets is coming out, so we definitely want to go backwards. And we want to get torpedoes out. Because we do not want to... Turrets has had enough. This is like, no, I'm going to go get you. Yeah, you can see me. Shooting them close to the edge, because I'm thinking as he's going to turn out. Maybe something gets in, at least he's not going to follow me anymore. That Mogami is still alive, I don't believe it. How is he still alive? Okay, unfortunately I'm spotted over here. There we go, I'm going unspotted. Okay. So now we can lob shells over here. Okay, the turret has dodged. And our team has kind of crumbled on the other side. We're ahead on points though. That's good. Okay, I'm gonna want to stay here because I've got range at the turrets and the Mogami. This is a really good spot if you're on this map. Come on, one more hit. Who spotted me? Oh, carrier spotted. Crap. Okay, forward.
Our team is about to win.
Did we get him? Or someone else got him. Okay. Now we push. Now we rush the turrets because there's only the carrier and the turrets left. This is a really good spot if you want to lob shots and do damage without being spotted.
Precise aim activated.
Okay. Let's see if we can burn down the turrets. Oh, it's turning. There's another fire. Is he putting it out? Yes, he is.
Nice shot.
Come on. Angling as much as I can. Come on, give me another fire. Oh yeah, he's after me. Small enough. Yeah, that's a permafire.
We hit the enemy.
Come on, my kill. There we go, finally.
Target hit.
Okay, carrier's all the way down there. So let's get her still. Well, we only have 20 seconds left, so come on. Are you moving? No? Okay. We get probably 2 salvos off or something.
Enemy aircraft incoming.
Okay. Hey, we still got a big caliber. Hey. So, like I said, this is an amazing ship in terms of the sheer amount of damage she can do. And we haven't even done that much with the torpedoes. I mean, the turrets was obviously, I mean, you've seen, there was a high-ranking player. She wasn't just going to poke out. And I wasn't fully expecting her to actually hit her with these torpedoes. I was more firing them out there just in case she decided to rush me. Or just to keep her from doing that. Because then we were nicely having her caged in between the Edinburgh and the turrets coming on along, and me kind of holding that corner of the island. And that corner of the island is really neat if you have a high firing arc, because you can be out of visual and you can actually fire across. There's another spot in the middle of the island, so just keep these in mind, right? You don't need to actually, if you have a good firing arc on your guns, you don't actually need to go around the damn thing to get to the other side and be exposed. You can actually fire your guns across that without being spotted. So what did we do? We did 80,000 damage. That's a good number. I've done over 100k with this ship at occasions if you get to use your torpedoes. And if we look at the composition, we've only had 1 torpedo hit. So we've literally done the rest of the damage with the guns alone. So that's what these 155mm guns can do. We've said 7 fires, and they are just murderous at range. They're precise. They're relatively quick firing. There's a lot of them. So this is a really, really nice ship. I mean, you haven't seen anything what we can do against things like destroyers, right? So with the high explosive and these 15 guns at close range, plus you've got the torpedoes, usually destroyers do not try to rush you, and if they do, they regret it. So she's a really, really nice ship. I very much enjoy her. And I think, is she worth buying as a premium ship? I don't know. That's basically up. And as usual, that's your decision. If you think you have the money, she's going to be expensive as a tier 8 premium. If you have the money, maybe. But consider other ships that have kind of similar setups. So, for example, the Takao, she's a heavy cruiser, which is what the actual Mogami got retrofitted as later. So this is basically the same layout. She's a heavy cruiser, but she does have 10 guns with an 11-second reload, which is one more than the American ships have. And she does have a good fire chance, and she does get the extremely good Japanese torpedoes. Or consider the Soviet line, where you have the Shapayev at tier 8, who has 12 150mm guns, which are comparable to what the Mogami's guns are doing. I mean, of course, she's a Soviet battleship, so the torpedoes are garbage, but other than that, if you're after this style ship, this kind of ship, there are alternatives in the tech tree you can use towards going for the actual Mogami. So, well, as you see, I'm being invited to a battle, so that'll be it for today. We'll see what we do next week. A lot of people have requested more tactics videos, maybe. Or I was also thinking to do some more lower tier ships from the tech tree. Just, not everybody plays at tier 8, 9, and 10 or plays premium ships. So maybe I'll do some of these. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.